Okay, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. I know we skipped a week. Last week, I skipped a week of making a video, and I really wanted to find some time this week, and we finally found some time today. Today is Thursday, it is February 10th, and we are continuing to learn the history of Breslov, the history specifically right now of Rebbe Nachman's life, on the different cities he lived in and where he was going and from which town to which town. So I think in the last video which we did, which was 2 weeks ago, we were discussing when Rebbe Nachman moved from Medvedevka to Zlatopolia, and in Zlatopolia, that's where the machlokes between him and the Shpola Zeda started, and it lasted. And then Rabbi Nachman moved from Zlatopolia to Breslov. And Breslov is where the name of the Breslover Chassidim come from. There's a story, obviously, with that, which we are going to learn. But now we're going to learn about how Rabbi Nachman actually moved from Zlatopolia to Breslov and why specifically to the city of Breslov. So let's start. So it says basically over here in the Sefer we're learning in Siach Sarfi Kodesh that Rebbe Nachman, it says over here that before Rebbe Nachman moved from Zlatopolia to Breslov, in that summer of the year Tov Kuf Samach Beis, I don't even know what year that is because I don't know, I think maybe 1802, something like that, he spent some time in the summer in Berdichev with his father, who was Rabbi Simcha, and then after that Shabbos or whatever time he spent in Berdichev, he went to Tulchin, and in Tulchin he spent time with his uncle Rabbi Baruch of Mezhbush. Right, Rabbi Nachman's uncle was Rabbi Baruch of Mezhbush, the brother of Rabbi Nachman's mother Fega. Okay, so it says over here in a footnote that Rabbi Baruch of Mezhbush was a leader in two places, basically. He was a rabbi in two places. He was a rabbi in the city of Mezhbush and also in Tulchin. And he had a house in both places. Okay, and Rabbi Nachman went to Tulchin to be with Rabbi Baruch of Mezhbush. Fine. So now it starts talking about this. So it says over here that Shabbos that Rabbi Nachman was with Rabbi Baruch of Mezhbush, there was also a different Rav over there that Rabbi Nachman wanted to bring close to him. But this Rav was like not having it at all, and he's like, I'm not going to be close to Rabbi Nachman. And he even said, and he even told his people that this guy's trying to bring me close, but it's not going to work. Okay, that's just a little tiny zach, not such a big deal. Then it says over here that Rabbi Nachman asked his uncle Rabbi Baruch of Mezhbush that he should choose for him a place where he could sit and be in peace and just live and whatever. Right? Because I said in the last video also that was like, you didn't just move into a town. Well, it's a lot of sun right now. It's pretty cool. That you didn't just like move into like a town, like you like asked before, like permission and whatever. Blah, blah, blah. So Rav Baruch of Mezhbush said that he has close to Tulchin, there's a town called Breslov, and Breslov is a good place for Rebbe Nachman to move. So Rebbe Nachman, so right away they wrote to Breslov, because of Techel of Breslov. So they basically, what they did is that they wrote to Breslov that some of the leaders of the city should come to Tulchin and I guess check out Rebbe Nachman, whatever. And three of the rich people of Breslov and the Mechubedika people, the people with whatever, the leaders or the community leaders, they came to Breslov, and these were Rabbi Moshe Hennis, Moshe Chinkis, which is Chinkis or whatever. That's like he comes up in a lot of different stories, later on with Rabbi Nachman and and it says Rabbi Mordechai Rottenheis. And Rabbi Baruch HaMeshber spoke to him that they should take in Rabbi Nachman and they should give him a rendel every week for his needs, and 3 rendel the mafreya, and give us 3 rendels now, so that Rabbi Nachman has money to be able to move to Breslov, so that he could move from the city of Zlatopolia to Breslov. And they were like, okay, cool, let's do this. Okay. And then it says over here that then these rich guys went to Rebbe Nachman to meet him for the first time. And Rebbe Nachman said that no, he didn't like the deal that they made. And he asked them actually to double the amount. And he wanted shnei rendel. He wanted 2 rendel each week and 6 rendelach for the move. And he wanted to make it into a contract on paper. And these nichbadim, these honorary people, were not too happy about this, because even Rabbi Baruch HaMeshber did not get an amount like this. And they said to Rebbe Nachman that no, they only want to do the amount that Rabbi Baruch said, which is 1 rendel a week and 3 rendels for the move. But for what he wanted, they first needed to ask the people of the city if they would agree to such an amount. And they went back to Breslov and they asked the people of the city, and the people were like, yeah, we could do that. Okay, fine. Oh, okay. Now here it says also Rebbe Nachman made another condition with these guys, that also that Rabbi Aaron, who eventually is now the Rav of Breslov, whatever, and all the stories and everything like that, not now that he's Rav of Breslov, but back then he was the Rav of Breslov. At this point, he was a Rav in a little tiny city called Carson. Okay? And Rabbi Nachman made a deal with them also that Rabbi Aaron is going to come with Rebbe Nachman to move into the city, and he will be the Rav of the city. Rebbe Nachman will be the tzaddik, whatever of the city, and Rabbi Aaron will actually be the Rav of the city. He says, without this, I cannot come into Breslov. So, and Rebbe Nachman said to them that he says like this, he says that I used the schus of my fathers, I used the merits of my fathers, so that I should be able to bring Rabbi Aaron to be the Rav of the city of Breslov. Okay, that's like a kind of like a big deal. And then when they heard this, these Ashirim, these rich guys, these honorary people, that Rabbi Nachman wanted this guy to be specifically the Rav of the city, they were like, we already have a guy who's coming, another big tzaddik guy who's going to come, who's from the people of your uncle, Rabbi Baruch of Mezhbush. He's going to be the Rav of the city. And Rabbi Nachman answered them back. He said, no, that's the Rav that my uncle chose, but I need Rabbi Aaron to be the Rav. So anyway, at the end of the day, was that again? Wait, what? So it's just basically they were not into it, but they were like, okay, I guess, I don't know, it's just interesting. Like it says, Klada Shafi Sharav Baruch Hu Shishtal Kamar Abu Rabbeinu Eitzel Gerer Breslov Vayis Rabbi Duba Hay Manash Rabbi Baruch Cholzois Loy Hiskim Rabbeinu Lechayin Karav Breslov Im Loy Sharav Rabbi Aaron Yeh Rav Disham. So basically, Rabbi Nachman was like, it's either me and Rabbi Aaron or nothing. And I guess they decided that Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Aaron should come, and that's what happened at the end. Fine. So now, I guess they went back to Zlatopolia to get Rebbe Nachman's house together to move to Breslov, and it says that when they were leaving the city of Zlatopolia, when they were already, the wagons from Breslov already came to bring him to Breslov, Rebbe Nachman says that here in Zlatopolia, I suffered two hells, I suffered greatly. He says, because it says in the Gemara that the judgment of Rishoyim in Gehenna is 12 months, but I suffered here for 2 years. So I guess that's like two things. But Rebbe Nachman obviously is not a Russia, but he was just saying the amount of time is like double the amount of time. Fine. Then Rebbe Nachman was sitting on the wagon, and he went to the city of Breslov. And this is over here. This is where it's important over here, because this is, I think, the first time that Rabbi Nachman, that we know of, I think, entered the city of Uman. It's possible he entered the city of Uman before, but this is on the way to Breslov. Before Rabbi Nachman lived in Uman at the end of his life, on the way to the city of Breslov, they needed to pass through the city of Uman. And Rabbi Nachman passed through the city of Uman, there was a certain bridge there, which was called it was called in Yiddish die Toite Brickel, the bridge of the dead, because they would bring the people who were to be buried in the cemetery on that bridge, because that bridge, I guess, connected the city to the cemetery. Okay. And Rabbi Nachman, when he was on that bridge, Rabbi Nachman came down from the wagon, and he actually came close to the place where he was going to be buried much later on in his life, and he stood there for a certain amount of time, and he said in this lashon, he says, over here it would be very good to be buried, because over here there's many people, holy souls that fell here. They made a big Kiddush Hashem, which is obviously the Rechitza Gedoyla, the Ritzicha Gedoyla Shoyse B'Chodesh Tammuz Shnas Tafel Chamas, the Rosh Junta Yemach Shemoy. That in the city of Uman there was a big murder of thousands of Jews. They were all buried in a big grave together in the city of Uman, and Rebbe Nachman was buried there so that he could fix their souls. And there is also a deya, there is also another version that says that Rabbi Nachman did not actually go to where he was going to be buried, but he just stood in the place on the bridge. And when he was sitting on the wagon, he said, oh wow, look at this beautiful cemetery, and he says it would be very good to be buried over here. So this is where Rabbi Nachman starts, the avodah of Uman and stuff like that. Okay. And then also now in this city, so Rabbi Nachman passed through there. He spent Shabbos there. He spent Shabbos by Rabbi Avram Chaim. I think he's mentioned on later when Rabbi Nachman died, he had a hotel also as well there. He had a Shahoyle Einfar. He had a basement. He had a hotel in Uman, and this was the beginning of the story also with the people who lived over there. Those three Apikorsim, Hirsch Ber and whatever we'll get to later on, also part of the Breslov history and everything like that. That they were very, very nispoiled. They were very in great wonderment from Rabbi Nachman. They thought that he was a great chacham, great sage, and they wanted him to stay in Uman. And the matter obviously was pushed off for another 8 years until ER Tuf Kuf Ayin. Right, so that's from 1802. That's when Rabbi Nachman moved to Breslov. So 1810, right? Okay, fine. All right, let's just do this little story over here. Oh, we'll finish this chapter in two pieces. Okay, so let's do this. So when Rabbi Nachman was in Uman, this was in Chodesh Elul, that Shabbos, and there was one shoichet there, a ritual slaughterer, somebody who shechs animals, somebody who slaughters animals for kosher food, whatever. He was a tzaddik nistar, and nobody knew about it. And Rabbi Nachman automatically, when he met the shoichet, he knew that he was a hidden tzaddik. And this guy started speaking to Rabbi Nachman, and they started talking about the inyan of gathering with Rabbi Nachman for Rosh Hashanah. And Rabbi Nachman said, my whole entire inyan is Rosh Hashanah. So the Sheikh said to Rebbe Nachman that he needs to stay until Erev Rosh Hashanah in Uman because he needs to shecht all the animals there. So, and he wouldn't be able to make it after he finished. He wouldn't be able to make it from Uman to Breslov. Now, Rebbe Nachman is going to be living in Breslov for Rosh Hashanah in a few weeks. He wouldn't be able to make it. So he asked Rebbe Nachman if he could use the name of Kvitzas Haderech. Kvitzas Haderech is, in the Chassidic stories, it's when they use a certain Kabbalistic name to cross large amounts of land in a very short time. Okay? So this Sheikh asked Rabbi Nachman if he could use this special shem so that he could make it to Uman in time for to make it in time to Breslov for Rosh Hashanah. And Rabbi Nachman said, this is very important. He says, to me, you need to come with horses, not with shemus. And this is also what Rabbi Nachman says in Chaim Moran, that he says, I wish you could see the beautiful light on the way that you guys come to me. That basically every single step that you take towards Uman, towards Rosh Hashanah with Rebbe Nachman, it creates like a big light, and the whole way is like a very special thing. It's like people, so Rebbe Nachman was saying that like you have to come to me with horses. You can't just come. Part of coming to me is the journey to me too. And we don't know, it says over here that we don't know if this guy ever came to Rebbe Nachman or not for Rosh Hashanah. So again, and it mentions over here also that we don't like that when a tzaddik does something, he only does it. He does it for many reasons which we don't know about. They're very mysterious. But one of the reasons for sure that Rebbe Nachman came to the city of Breslov was obviously to bring Rab Nosson closer, because it would have not been possible for Rab Nosson to become close to Rebbe Nachman if he didn't move to Breslov. Because Rab Nosson lived very, very close to Breslov. At this point, it was like he lived in Nemerov. Okay, so that's basically the story of how Rebbe Nachman came to the city of Breslov, how he's going to get there, and how he moved there, and why he chose there. And then next week, hopefully, we will learn more about why the name Breslov was chosen for the Chassidim and different things like that, and just continue learning the greatness of everything in Breslov.